A roundtable discussion in Queenstown on Sunday took on the ethical, legal and social issues surrounding genetic testing. The fourth trans-Tasman roundtable on genomics attracted some of the top minds from Australasia and New Zealand. Lead organiser Richman is here to tell us what the outcome of the event was. Good evening.
Good evening, kia ora.
Now tell us about the roundtable, who runs it and why do they run it?
Right, the 4th Australian-New Zealand Roundtable on Genomics had its origins in the New Zealand Law Foundation's sponsored project on the human genome research, law ethics and policy for the future. This was a multidisciplinary and international project that was led by Professor Mark Hannigan at the University of Otago Faculty of Law. About 5 years ago, the project saw a need to encourage trans-Tasman discussion about the issues and the need to grow multidisciplinary research expertise into an international standard and prepare New Zealand for the challenges ahead. The roundtable had a mix of people from various disciplines, professionals, backgrounds, and importantly to members of the public present, listening and asking questions.
Now, what sort of genetic testing is being done in Australasia?
A raft of DNA or molecular tests are performed in the health context to help diagnose, predict, or help investigate susceptibility to diseases or disorders. The tests help people find out genetic risks of disorders, of developing disorders and diseases for themselves, as well as perhaps for their affected children. Genetic tests can also be accessed online, for instance, through direct-to-consumer genomic companies, and they provide information such as ancestry information and probably some information about health conditions.
What sort of ethical and legal issues are coming up?
Well, there is a range of ethical dilemmas and legal issues for both professionals and patients. Genomic information is pretty much probabilistic. It is based on statistical association of genes and diseases. The technology is becoming cheaper and more data can be generated with implications for complexity in terms of interpretation. This means that the responsibilities and duties of professionals and researchers need to be considered or reconsidered with implications for legal standards of care. There were 4 main issues that were discussed. Firstly, what is genomic information, the availability and the interpretation of such information. Secondly, communication and disclosure of such information. Thirdly, choice, decision-making or consent of individuals, including support for family or whānau, and education of professionals and the general public, including the individuals who would be undergoing the testing. I think most importantly too, and quite interestingly, the issue of the individual's right not to know predictions about their genetic status was noted.
What was the main outcome of the roundtable discussion?
Given that it's a new and emerging technology, it was not surprising that there were more questions than answers, but I would say, reporting back from my colleagues, there were a few. First, it seemed to me that well-researched guidance and policy need to be discussed and developed so that situations can be dealt with as and when when circumstances arise. And in both the clinical or research context, it was emphasized that the need for a relationship or partnership between researchers and professionals and also patients and research participants need to be developed. Careful attention needs to be given to how the information is communicated, and importantly, access and equity issues need to be considered by policymakers to avoid the creation of a genetic underclass who may be unable to access the benefits of genomic information.
Richman, thanks. That's all we've got time for, but thanks very much for your time.
Cool, thank you.